So, you want a computer, but your knowledge about computers bare minimum. What do? Or you just get whatever as long you think it has an okay-ish specs. Wanna know my mistake? This is my PC. Now, actually, I'm gonna show you the PC that I actually bought. This PC. Basically, I bought a pre-build back in November 2022, expecting it to be good. And you know when you're a dumb 13-year-old and thought, the seller advertised i7, and that's it. Maybe it's a good i7. And so I thought. I bought it, and it was the worst PC I've ever bought, because the PC came with i7 2600 with no GPU in it. And spoiler, I'm still using it while making this video. So basically, absolutely nothing can run with HD Graphics 2000, not even Minecraft. After a couple months, I bought a GPU for the first time, and it was the best thing I've ever bought because I can finally play GTA 5 at normal settings in a playable experience. Then I got another GPU, the RX 580. The first thing I do after I installed it, of course, crank up the GTA 5 graphics tab. Then I bought a new motherboard. Not really new. I bought an LGA 1150 motherboard for me to recycle the old CPU from a computer that broke, which is the whole point of me buying that pre-boot basically. Yeah, I used to have an OEM PC. That thing just broke out of nowhere after I bought an SSD for it. I stuck with no PC for 2 months, and that is painful actually. That PC sits next to a trash bin in my door, which originally I wanted to be a door stopper but didn't feel like it, so it just sits there collecting dust. Anywho, I got that motherboard because i7 2600 was bottlenecking games a lot and I kind of had enough. So I just chose a cheapest motherboard I could find. Really, I actually don't care enough about what I buy as long as it works and I'm not complaining. After that, I bought a new chassis because the chassis came from the pre-build is ugly as fuck. So I chose one that screams, yeah, it has a good specs. I have no issue with that build until the motherboard that I bought died out of nowhere at 2 AM, as that's the time I was greeted with when I boot up Windows on the motherboard from the old pre-build. And at that point, I have to go back to use that motherboard from the pre-build because I really have no other choice or money. And that was it. I was stuck with this shit hardware for the entire year of 2024. For the entire year, I actually never cleaned the inside of the PC because I have a hard drive with a broken power pin that I actually broke off a year prior. So it has to sit still, just so I don't want to deal with it. And in December 27, 2024, I decided to clean it. Not deep cleaning it, but just a simple clean, by taking out the cooler out, GPU, all that jazz, Honda. I also take the CPU out, out of curiosity. And hold and behold, I found a lot of dust just kind of melt underneath the CPU. So I actually don't remember if I cleaned those dust carefully. I mean, I just take a wet tissue and just carefully scrub those melted dust off. I don't fucking know. All I know is that the melted dust is still there despite how many times I tried cleaning it off. And I believe that I saw bent pins and let's act like that never happened. And as you expect, the PC did not post. But nothing like taking off a stick of RAM and putting it back in would never solve the issue, right? Or kind of. It works, I mean. So I just forget about cleaning my PC thing and just play BMG Drive like nothing ever happened. Until I decided to record a BMG gameplay, and apparently after I stopped recording, this happened. Yeah, and I found that a RAM died. And I can confirm that this RAM did not die. But for some reason, the DIMM slot close to the CPU stopped working. So since then, I stuck with 8GB RAM. And spoiler alert, I'm still using 8GB RAM as I'm making this video. And at one point, I had enough that I made this setup right here. What do you think? Isn't it cool? At least it's better than an Acer Aspire F15 with the missing plus key and mouse battery that explodes while playing GTA. Anywho, I tested the slot with the working RAM that I use currently on the slot that's dead, and unsurprisingly, it doesn't work. Yes, I bought another RAM too. Tested the exact same slot and it still won't post. Yes, I have tried reseating the CPU like a million times and still not working. So basically, I had to finally spend some cash on the new motherboard. Not new, but still going to recycle the 415 CPU that I stopped using in August 2023. Hey, at least I can choose a better motherboard this time. I chose an Asus B85MG. It was a good motherboard apparently, but hey, at least it would be better than that generic BTC motherboard I chose back in March 2023 that died out of nowhere at 2:22 AM August 11, 2023. I did destroy that motherboard for fun by the way in September, but didn't feel like making that video public, so here's just a few seconds of me destroying it. So, I bought the Asus motherboard at January 18th, 2025. I waited patiently until he decided to drive me fucking crazy when the seller basically never wanted to ship that motherboard. My god, logistics suspended? Spring Festival? Come on! After I heard this news, I just touched grass by walking 10 kilometers each day since January 22nd. Oh, it's at the sea and en route to Malaysia? Fuck yeah! Then it's January 25th. I started to worry because Shopee never updated the tracking. You know, the journey of your package from the seller to your doorstep. It's empty since January 18th. Don't worry, it's normal. My ass! January 28th. No update regarding my package. Please be patient. It has been 11 days since I placed order with no update on the order. Please be patient. How am I supposed to be patient if there was no update whatsoever on the package? If you have shipped out the package to a logistics, Shopee would let me know. But in this case, they didn't. Therefore, you haven't shipped anything. I couldn't wait any longer because I need a motherboard for my computer. If there's still no update regarding my package, I will cancel my order. What a fucking seller. Yes, I have checked their seller profile before I placed an order on that motherboard. I did not expect they would just lie about them already shipping out. I mean, there are reviews on the fucking product page. So I canceled the order on February 2nd, waiting patiently for the refund, and got the refund on the 8th. So will I be smart and buy another motherboard? Nah, at this point I barely use my PC, and school is already starting soon. So I just bought PlayStation Plus for the first time and just play games on my PlayStation. Anyways, I'm gonna call this off for today, I don't know. I am still stuck with this junk and I have no money to buy another motherboard and school is starting soon. So considering liking or disliking, please comment your thoughts on this video. Just share your experience down below. I'd like to know if you ever had to deal or relate to my experience with a shitty PC. Just to boost the engagement of course. Just so I could reach a lot of watch hours so I could monetize this channel. And hope it could fund my next PC and my phone too, cause look how sad my phone is right now. Alright, thanks.